You're listening to KPFK. I'm Jonathan, and today I spoke with Monica Bouldin, Deputy Chief of Customer Experience at LA Metro, about how LA Metro uses storytelling to advocate for transit and build community trust. Let's get into the conversation.
So I'm Monica Bouldin. I am Deputy Chief of Customer Experience here at LA Metro. I've been with the agency for approximately 3 years. Currently, I oversee the PR, marketing, social media, advertising, on-system revenue generation advertising, the special events, and the partnerships and sponsorship teams.
From my understanding, you were first involved like in kind of the corporate world, right? Like Ogilvy, Warner Bros., and the director of marketing at those companies. What was it like kind of jumping from something that's more corporate to a service that is more, I guess, customer oriented?
Surprisingly, it's not very different. So, a little bit about my background. I started actually at Fox Broadcasting Company when it was not a full network, working on with some great team members on shows like 21 Jump Street, In Living Color, Cops, America's Most Wanted. And then I jumped over to Warner Brothers Consumer Products, where I rose to the ranks to be Director of International Publicity, primarily focused on licensing, as well as the opening of the Warner Brothers Studio stores, if you guys are familiar with any of that. After my tenure at entertainment agencies, I jumped into agency world, which is where you see the Edelman, the Ogilvy, the Hill and Knowlton, and R&R Partners work. And the interesting thing is, the difference of going from an agency or entertainment is there isn't a really big difference. It's all about how do you prove your relevance and make the consumer or your customer happy. So while I'm not looking at things in terms of we sold this many gadgets or this many cars or this type of widget, to be successful, one, you've got to earn the trust of the customer. You've got to prove it's relevant, because it's important for any organization, whether it's public or private, right? And then we do offer a very critical public service, but we still have to earn that trust and prove our relevance to the customers that we have now. So it's all about anything that's customer facing or focused. You've got to have that mindset when you go into talking about why we want to earn their business, whether it's, again, buy my TV over that guy's TV, or use Metro versus always hopping in your car to get somewhere.
So I'm a daily rider. What does customer experience kind of look like in a concrete setting for the rider? If I'm riding the bus and the rail, what does improving customer experience look like?
Having a great customer experience at the core of it is making sure that people have a safe, reliable ride that that delivers on the frequency that they want. The system is clean, and we consider cleanliness part of our overall safety, right? Wayfinding, those are all important things that we need to make sure we get right, so that people have the essential baseline of what they need to do. It's also about when you're standing on that bus stop, the bus is going to arrive on time, or if you're trying to transfer to a rail station, the train is going to arrive on time. That's the foundation of what we need to do. Now, if we're talking about how do we enhance it and keep making that, the improve part of that, it's all about getting that customer feedback. And we do that through a variety of ways, whether it be customer comments, we do surveys, both annual and quarterly. We're constantly looking for our customers, our riders, whether it be bus, rail, Metro Micro, Metro Bike, what can we do to improve that experience? And then we go back as the customer experience team and share that with our facility maintenance crews. We fill it with our operations crews for bus and rail operators. We share that across the entire agency to make sure that we are always trying to improve what our customers experience every day while traveling on our system.
So aside from customer perception, what objective/subjective metrics might you use to measure like the success of a certain customer experience campaign or something that you're taking into consideration when it comes to feedback?
The most important thing is hearing from the voice of the customer, right? They're the ones that are using the system. we have to provide what our customers need at that core level. Now we can also look at improvements, whether it's things like, hey, let's try to surprise and delight our customers along the way by providing really engaging opportunities on the system to do pop-up DJs or pipe holiday music into the system when things are happening. We do things like change up bus headers and make them really funny with things like, we love Los Angeles or Slay LA, creating really unique and fun messages that kind of instill pride in our system. Like, Los Angeles wasn't founded on public transportation. It was a lot of people living in LA, unlike other cities like New York or Atlanta or San Francisco. We grow up with, okay, I'm turning 15, 16, give me keys to a car. So we're trying to, make sure that our riders know that, hey, you are in one of probably the best kept secrets in Los Angeles, that we can get you anywhere you need to go safely, on time, in a great environment, and you've got the benefit of saving money on parking, saving money on gas, saving money on insurance, and you get to travel the system and see things that Angelinos who are sitting in traffic don't get to experience.
More to the point of kind of hearing customer feedback and implementing it. I have a friend who's a
Hmm.
rider. She also owns a car. Occasionally she'll take the metro for like leisure. It's easy to get to the
Yeah.
Hollywood Bowl, right, with like those shuttles. She also
Right.
said that she's seen more security and ambassadors on trains, and there have been updated fare turnstiles. I know Metro, I think, just resumed their tap to exit program.
Yep,
Um,
we just resumed tap to exit. We
yeah.
installed taller fare gates to make sure that people who are actually traveling on our system are using it for the purpose of transit. Like, we're making sure that there isn't any loitering, and making sure that,
Yeah.
as part of our safety efforts, that we're trying to make, and we just did we're just relaunched the weapons detection pilot as well.
hmm She didn't learn about the updated fare turnstiles from personal experience. She learned it from the Los Angeles Metro subreddit, and she's seen more security and ambassadors on trains. But she was wondering, what is Metro doing to let customers know that the Metro, like aside from press releases and people already following Instagram, right? You have to entice people who may not ride the Metro to be like, look, the Metro is getting safer. We are doing like daily cleanliness. We have like the vinyl seats now, right? So, how do
Yes,
you let
yes.
people who are non-riders or non-frequent riders, especially after the pandemic, come back to the metro and let them know that it is a safer and cleaner environment?
Well, I mean, of course, earned media is definitely one. So, we send out press releases on our ridership. We on our social media channels. We are on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We're on Blue Sky. We're letting people know, and through those communications channels, that here are the updates that we're making. We're also talking in terms of, so you've got social media, you've got earned media, we have advertising that, where we're talking about the brand, because we want people to really understand that Metro is, we're a brand, we're part of the Los Angeles culture. So we're talking about all of the different things that we're doing across all of those channels. So people will learn more about the system. And the interesting thing about your friend is, one of the things that we've started doing in the 3 years that I've been here is more of those active partnerships with entertainment venues as well as sporting organizations. Because, look, after the pandemic, we recognized that a lot of people didn't have to go to work daily, so their daily commute changed. But we still wanted to encourage people, like, if you've got to go to work, and be there on time, that's great. You can travel our system. But if you also want to use it just for leisure travel to get to downtown LA, whether it be great restaurants, things that are happening at, the different parks and entertainment venues down here, Walt Disney Concert Hall, the Center Theater Group, like we've got buses and trains that go there. We have a great partnership with AEG out at Brookside Park in Pasadena, where we work with them on some of their major festivals, including, Cruel World and Head in the Clouds and Just Like Heaven, that, allow people to go to the Memorial Park station, and then they transfer on the shuttle and they get dropped off right there at the event. We've got a great partnership with LAFC where people can get off at the Expo Park Jefferson line, and you just literally cross the street and you are going to a game at BMO. We've worked with Angel City in the past. We've worked with, we have our Dodger Stadium Express. So while we would love to be everybody's first choice in transportation and have everybody take us all the time, we recognize that, at least try us out for opportunities as it relates to your leisure travel.
What are like some of the top concerns from Metro riders, and what are some things recently that Metro has done to address them?
Okay, so top concerns, of course, are safety, making sure that when they get on the system, they're going to feel safe. So that includes, as we discussed, the taller fare gates, the Metro ambassadors, which have been a huge success, and we recently just we converted it from a pilot program to an ongoing part of what we do. Well, the weapons detection pilot is also something that we're doing. Cleanliness, I mean, that's also a part of safety, right? You don't want to get on something that's dirty. So the vinyl seat coverage, making sure that we have midday cleaning on our system, on all of our vehicles, that is something that takes place. Frequency of service. So twice a year, what we do is we look at adjusting our schedule, and we call it a shakeup. And you're trying to figure out, okay, how can people are telling us, hey, it would be great if I had a stop here versus a quarter of a mile down the road, or is there an opportunity to change the headways from 10 minutes to 8 minutes or 10 minutes to 6 minutes? So that's one of the things that we look at in terms of improving speed and reliability on the system, because that's also really important. That's something that we're also working on in terms of frequency to make sure that there's enough buses on the system or enough trains on the system to get people where they want to go when they want to get there.
Yeah, I mean, something that I've noticed recently, there's a new bus stop design it was Fairfax and San Vicente. I think it was something slash Vector. Can you like tell me more about that partnership and like what came about, kind of what's like the big purpose?
So one of the interesting things that I don't think people realize is that Metro doesn't own the majority of our bus stops. Those are city owned. So we recently just had, a bus stop summit with all of the cities, or the majority of cities in LA County, to talk about how can we look at making bus stops an improvement. Look, we're recognizing that, the climate around us is changing, and it's hot more often than not in Los Angeles. So how do you look at providing shade? How do you look at providing real-time information about when is the bus going to come? And along the Vermont corridor, you'll see that we've got an e-paper pilot that has those boxes that will let people know when the buses will be coming, their frequency of service. It's also, you'll see better enhanced benches along that line. So we're working with the cities to come up with a way to make sure that when people are waiting for the bus, that it is safe, comfortable, and also what I wanted to say is well lit, like the lighting around the bus stops, and making sure that the trash cans are firmly planted to the ground and people can't throw things around or pull them out and spew trash along on the seats. So it is part of the things that we're working with the cities to improve overall.
What about crafting messages that resonate with your core audiences?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, our biggest challenge when we're talking about the messaging, it goes back to educating Angelinos or people who've grown up in this county about public transit. It doesn't have that same cultural significance that it does in other cities, right? One of the things that we found interesting as we've seen as we work with Los Angeles tourism is that people who come from other countries are taking Metro and finding their way around and getting around more often than when we try to explain it to Angelinos themselves. I mean, there have been some great stories about,
Yeah.
hey, we're coming over from Asia. We're used to traveling on a subway and a bus. And yeah, we went from downtown to Santa Monica in line 4, and it was awesome. And I tell somebody who's grown up here, like, you can get from Silver Lake to Santa Monica and not have to drive and worry about paying $25 for parking. And they're like, what? I never knew that. And I was like, you live here. How do you not know that? And for me, I was born in New York, but I was raised here. And even though we're like the largest and the most visible transit brand, yes, there's, all of our not member agencies, that's Metrolink, but all of the other transit agencies that we partner with. I mean, we are the most visible transit brand. That we still are working on a daily basis to connect with, Angelinos on a really meaningful level. How do we make that happen? And so again, how we started to explore that was, okay, if people aren't going to take us every day, let's start to work with other big brands and the sporting organizations and the entertainment venues to encourage people to use us for that leisure part of their life.
I mean, you have all these events that Metro partners with organizations that put on like Ciclavia,
Ciclavia.
Ciclavia. You have the Union Station Train Festival. You
Hmm.
have like the Metro Art Presents, where they like do KCRW. Metro could always just be just a transit service, right? Gets you from point A to point B and that's it. But
Right,
it seems
right.
like Metro's trying to position itself as something greater than just transit. How are you trying to enhance like the Angelino experience, or what is so valuable about culturally connecting with Angelinos, and like what are you trying to position yourself as? Why is it important?
Well, it's important because we're trying to humanize Metro, right? People, as you're saying, we can just be a transit agency that get people from point A to point B. We want to show the human side of Metro. We are people. We how we communicate to our riders and the public in general is a much more consumer friendly tone. We're not using institutional, governmenty language. Our CEO was, she's always about, don't speak in government terms, speak in, everyday language. And we highlight the people on our system in all of our storytelling and our communications efforts, our employees as well as our writers. I mean, one of the things, when I got here, social media wasn't a big focus of this agency, but if we're communicating to that next generation of writers, it was a great opportunity to start, showing who we are as the people who choose to work here. And that bus operator dance challenge, I don't know if you've seen any of those videos where, we really elevated our operator's role, looking at culture, driven and place-centered storytelling, and we've won awards for that. Like, people were like, okay, the best challenges that we have between our divisions really captured the heart of not only Angelinos, but of other transit agencies, and we've had friendly competitions with them, talking about like, we are people, we are here to serve you, and we want to do our best. We're part of this culture. Many of us grew up here, we're born here. So that is just another opportunity to show and humanize the things that we're doing.
And then there's recently, like a really, at least in my opinion, a really like successful initiative, which was the Nipsey Hustle like tap card and kind of like rollout. Where I think, what was it, the station on Crenshaw? Oh my God, I saw it everywhere. You had the videos of like the line. You had to stand in line for 2 hours to get the tap card, and by the time you got to the front, it was probably sold out. Like, what is it like planning something like that? It was kind of unique. Like, why now, for example, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Nipsey Hussle partnership with his family and foundation. I mean, that's a perfect example of amplifying writers' voices. He was a Metro writer, and again, as you referenced earlier, we are part of LA. We are an LA brand. We want to authentically connect with everything that is about Los Angeles, and so the opportunity there was, our marketing and social media team came up with what we're calling, the Metro Culture Series. And it's a new series that celebrates Angelinos who's helped shape the LA culture, right? So the first tribute, we were fortunate enough to get in touch with Nipsey Hussle's family and to do something in the spirit to celebrate his 40th birthday. So, like, he is like the perfect person because Nipsey understood the power of public transportation and how it built communities, it increased accessibility, and it gave people opportunities to go places, to work places, to see places that without public transportation they wouldn't have the opportunity to do so. So working in collaboration with his estate, we did those 2 limited edition tap cards that pay tribute to his life and his impact here in Los Angeles. And you're right, like the cards sold out that day. And one of those was a portrait of Nipsey on Crenshaw, and the other one was a portrait of Nipsey on a Metro bus. So it was a really cool opportunity to do the takeover at the Hyde Park station and rename it the Nipsey Hussle station. And that station is at Slauson and Crenshaw Boulevard in South LA. So I mean that's the heart of where Nipsey was, his identity, and the community that he came from. And so Nipsey Hussle Square is just a destination right off of that station, and it was a fantastic experience, one that we are planning on replicating in the future. Don't know who the next one is going to be, but it's something that we're looking to continue.
Who chose the design, or is it like I know Metro does like open calls, for example. Was it like similar to that, or who
No,
found the
the
funding?
the
So
the Nipsey Hussle promotion was done with our marketing team. Our Metro Art team is they're part of customer experience, but their focus is again very very similar in bringing local artists to light, whether it be station related art, whether it be through working with all of the museums. I don't know if you've seen, but we've done tap cards with like the Broad in the past. We've done tap cards with various artists that reflect the communities where they've come from. So, and they've of course worked with KCRW on all of those major events. But again, it just goes back to we want to make sure that people see and understand that Metro is kind of the great connector here within Los Angeles County, and that showcases all of the entertainers, all of the artists, all of the sports figures. Like we are here to serve the community because we are a part of the community.
what was your favorite campaign or project to like work on?
I don't know if I could say I've had a favorite. In the 3 years that I have been here, we opened the K line, which was amazing. We opened the regional connector, and as you may know, we just opened this amazingly beautiful structure called the LAX Metro Transit Center.
Yeah.
And just a few weeks ago, we did the A line to Pomona opening. And in each of those opportunities or those openings, we've had the opportunities to further tell our story about Metro. Like we are doing this for the benefit of Angelinos first, and visitors as well ahead of these games. But these are like legacy improvements and system building that are helping us create a more accessible Los Angeles for people,
Hmm.
give people the opportunity to explore. I mean, I'm just excited to come into a place, especially being a New Yorker, and trying to change Angelina's mindset who don't think we have a public transportation system. It's very funny. I still run into people who say, I didn't know that LA had a subway. And I'm like, what? It's like, how do you not know that? And let me show you the subway. Let me show you our bus system. Let me show you Metro Micro. Let's go hop on a bike and ride, Sunset Boulevard from Silver Lake to Echo Park. And they're like, I never knew this existed. I think my favorite part is truly introducing the system to people and watching their eyes go big and watching them realize that no, I don't have to get in my car to go everywhere. I can, take the system and go from downtown LA to the beach. I can, I can be in downtown LA, hop on the system and get to Universal Studios and even go out all the way to Woodland Hills and never have to sit in the drab traffic of the 101 freeway if I don't want to. Like, they're like, I didn't know this existed. So that moment of awe, I think is my favorite thing about my job. Like when we could, show somebody who rides the system that they can get to someplace different, or who's never ridden the system and they get on it and they realize how wonderful it actually is.
Could you walk me through kind of like a similar question, but what is it like rolling out promotions for something like the A line, right? Because you had like the DJs, you had like the mascot the mascot like reels, right?
Yeah.
Could you be specific about what it's like kind of rolling out? It's the longest light rail line in the world.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
when we're talking about, opening new stations, building out new lines, it begins at the, whenever the new project is actually announced, right? So when we start the project, we want to tell the story that will resonate for the entire life of the project. And it's like, okay, great. We are going to be building out the A line to Pomona. We're gonna open 4 new stations. But like, here's the story that we want to tell. The extension of that line is like light rail service to the San Gabriel Valley. That's the first time that they've had light rail service in 70 years. And the message that we were communicating was that San Gabriel Valley is now connected to the rest of LA County and all of the great opportunities that come with it. I mean, you can now take that A line from Pomona all the way to Long Beach, and when you compare that to the D line extension, whereas like most of the compelling value props there were, no amount of bus service would be adequate for that corridor, all of a sudden we've got, we called it the subway to the sea or the light rail to the sea. That was, we wanted, to make sure that people understood that for the first time in 70 years, they can actually not sit on multiple freeways to get to where they wanted to go. And then like through the project planning and the development, we're focused on the community outreach, whether it's building goodwill with the community and providing them with, providing them with that opportunity to actually shape the project. We reinforce all of our messaging about the significance and the long-term benefits and explain the process and why it takes the time that it takes to get there. And then, having the community evolve from the project level to the groundbreaking level through the construction level then leads to what you were just referencing. It's like, okay, now it's time to celebrate that this project is finally open and you can experience. And we always invite the community to be a part of those celebrations. So, that is about educating, and then come on out and help us celebrate this. Bring all your friends, bring all your family, let everybody know through social media and earned media that this is the opportunity for you to celebrate something that you were a part of, right? And, mobilizing those supporters, engaging those the community members, and then let's celebrate together, because it's not just about us, it's about the community that we've expanded to and given new opportunity to. So what we did for A line to Pomona is, I believe it was the 18th of September, it was that Friday, and we did the station opening from Glendora to Laverne to San Dimas to Pomona, and we set up little community celebrations at each of those events. And we worked with local food vendors. We worked with other local companies and DJs. As you mentioned, we brought out the mascots from the various colleges that are along the line. There are 19 different colleges along that line. So we had a lot of the mascots come out and help us celebrate with that. And it was a really great time for all. And again, as you mentioned previously, or you asked previously, what's the best part of my job? It's when you're actually out there and you're seeing people and they're riding from station to station with their grandmother or their kids, and they're like, wow, it's finally here and I can experience this. And thank you for all the things that I can, now do because this line was created here.
I guess I want to address like the perception of Metro. I guess I want to first start with the Metro Ambassador program. Could you explain just briefly, like to the audience, like what Metro Ambassadors are in case they're unfamiliar?
Got it. So our Metro ambassadors play a very, very important role in our system. They're the additional eyes and ears on our system. So when people have questions about how do I use the system, where do I go, where do I exit, if they encounter anything that makes them feel uncomfortable, they can go and they can go to a Metro ambassador. It's a warm, welcoming presence. Just like, I guess, if you're not familiar with our system, I would compare them to that helping hand or that concierge that help you manage and learn about where to go. Their role is just so important. It's one of those things where when we look at the success stories that we've had from the field, like we're rapidly approaching 2 million rider engagements that go beyond just the greetings, but like helping people, wayfind across our system or direct customer assistance. Also work in conjunction or partnership with our Metro Security Operations team. They have amazing stories. I don't know if you're aware, but they've saved over 300 lives through assisting people who are experiencing overdoses. They've also prevented suicides. They help with CPR in health-related incidents. I mean, just having that additional presence on the system has meant so much for all of us, riders and employees alike.
And then kind of, it seems like the goal of Metro Ambassadors is part of a bigger effort for Metro to reimagine public safety. What does safety mean to customers? Like when customers come to Metro and say, I don't feel safe, like in a few, I guess, like bullet points, what is that address?
Right. So, I mean, it's an individual perspective, right? So some people don't feel safe if they get on a dirty train. Would if there's dirt on a train and there's food on a seat or something spilled on the ground, it's like, okay, I don't want to be in this car. I don't feel safe. So, that's when we looked at improving and enhancing the frequency of cleaning on our bus and rail system. Some people don't feel safe if they see a person experiencing homelessness that's sitting in a chair. I'm not talking about anyone who may be experiencing, you know, a mental episode, but somebody that's just sitting there and they might have an overrun cart. That might make somebody feel uncomfortable. So the ability to, see a green shirted Metro ambassador on the system, it provides comfort to that person because they know that there's somebody there to help them if they would need help.
Mhm.
One of the things that we do talk about is there are call buttons at stations, there are call boxes, in the rail cars, and there are also on the buses as well. So you can communicate directly with an operator, or you can also use the Transit Watch app to communicate issues that you've seen, whether it be the elevator is not working, an unclean vehicle. But, we always encourage people, if you feel really, really threatened in the system, call 911 first.
Yeah.
But, the perception of safety is up to the individual.
Kind of like to that point where traditional perceptions of public safety
Hmm.
may like you said, like Metro ambassadors, like homeless outreach programs, it all seems like part of an effort to change the perception of what safety can be outside of like increased policing or some people get uncomfortable with cleanliness, some people get uncomfortable with homelessness. I mean, one of the top concerns in like a fall 2022 survey, and I think in the 2023 customer service plan, was how Metro
Hmm.
deals with homelessness on the train and the rail. So my question is, some people may see like homeless outreach and be like, I just want that, like out of sight, out of mind. Like there might be that
Hmm.
very like black and white, like there's people who say, yeah, let's put more money into homeless outreach. And then there might be people who see like, why are we offering resources to like, people who may be evading fares or people who are clearly struggling, but like they're causing a scene. So, like get them out of my mind or get them out of sight. How do you kind of like
Hmm.
reconcile that in messaging where some people have differing perceptions of what Metro ambassadors and homeless outreach workers are trying to do?
We want everybody who travels on our system to feel safe. And given that the perception of safety is subjective, having, Metro ambassadors or contract security or law enforcement or the ability to do the Transit Watch app lets people in various situations either report it as they feel comfortable, because some people don't feel comfortable going to the police, so they can go to a Metro ambassador or one of our contract security members. We have people who uh, I'm trying to figure out a way to address it because I can't speak for each individual.
Yeah, of
We just
course.
want to provide options for people. So if they are uncomfortable in any situation, there's a variety of options to help them feel more secure, whether it be a physical body or communicating through technology or communicating directly to an operator. That's what's most important, is that everybody feels comfortable, and then how it gets reported through, and having it as part of the home outreach team, or the Metro ambassadors, or law enforcement, or contract security, just give them a variety of options to
Yeah.
address and find a solution to that.
Yeah, so USC also did an external survey. It kind of matches up
Mm-hmm.
with Metro's internal surveys where non-riders or people who don't ride kind of have a more negative perception of Metro than people who do
Mm-hmm.
utilize it. Clearly, Metro is making improvements and strides towards safety, right? Like the drug-free program. There's been an objective like reduction in reports concerning homelessness. Even though the Metro has like gotten safer according to just like all metrics,
Yes.
non-riders still
Yes.
don't, yeah, non-riders, there's still a gap in perception that the metro is unsafe or uncomfortable. So like how do you still draw non-riders in despite like objective improvements?
Well, yeah, yes. So thank you for that question. And you're right. Safety has improved all across the board on our system, and I think our biggest challenge is earned media coverage that tends to skew negative. We do a lot of things working with the major sporting organizations, entertainment organizations. As you know, we're gearing up for the World Cup and the Super Bowl and the Olympics, so we're working with all of those organizations to make sure that everything is safe and secure on our system. But good news doesn't always make it on the news, right? It's
Yeah.
always this is the incident that happened here, or this is the incident that happened, on this bus or on this rail car. But if you think about it, knock wood, where you're not seeing anything because in the news today or yesterday. Why? Because the system running perfectly fine and nothing bad has happened. News coverage is going to skew to the negative because it's more sensational. And it's not, I mean, look, I started in television and I know what sells and makes what does great ratings. And when things are going well, that's great, but nobody's reporting on that. The good news is we've started to work with different media outlets, and as you've seen on our social media channels, and we're highlighting all of the great and wonderful things that we do. But if you're not a Metro writer, we've got to figure out a way to get those people to get on our social media channels and see all of the great work that we're doing, and that's one of the things that we're very much focused on. But your typical day-to-day morning, afternoon, and evening news is only going to focus on the negative and not really highlight the things that are positive, which is why we're building these partnerships to, let people give us a test run and see how great the system really is.
So clearly Metro has been like there's been a lot of expansion, right? Sepulveda line, D line, hopefully like more rail options in the North San Fernando Valley. But like there seems to be a lot of opposition from like local organizations, against like transit oriented development and generally expanding transit. What is it like
Mm-hmm.
having to kind of contend with people who are not anti-public transit, but do you try to market towards those people? Do you ignore them in your marketing and just hope that like the merit of transit stands on its own? Like what's that like?
I'm going to, that's something that we're going to have to follow up with you on in terms of it's not, when you're talking about the expansion and the development of our system, it goes back to everything starts with that community engagement, right? So we announced we're going to be doing the D line extension. We announced we're going to do the A line to Pomona extension. And it goes, as I referenced previously, it's all about community engagement. So, we make the announcement that this is what we're thinking about. We want your opinion, and we let people weigh in on what do you think would be the best option, and we provide them with options. Is it a light rail? Is it a dedicated bus line? Is it a subway? Like what should we be doing? And we take all that feedback and we work with the community. Here are the options. What do you think? Working with the community, working with other city and county organizations, then you come up with a plan and then you share the plan and then you continually ask for feedback. You're not going to make everybody happy. There's ongoing communications with the community from the moment we're looking at starting a project to when that project opens. We do our best as an agency to tell people the why we are doing something and the benefit that they're going to get when the project is completed. And while the project is in construction phase or in motion, we work with those impacted by it, whether it be residences or businesses, to mitigate as much, interference in their daily lives as possible. We are here for the benefit of Angelinos. We're not trying to make anybody's life difficult or challenging. In fact, our whole goal is to show people that you don't have to get in your car. You don't have to suffer with horrible, traffic congestion. You don't have to pay the newly raised parking meter prices or pay $100 to park at a game at SoFi. You can use Metro. So again, through every step of our process of going from planning to opening, we are communicating. And while we want everybody to be happy, we recognize that some people just won't be.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for your time.